Welcome, gents. Have you ever wondered why some men quietly pull away from their families, not out of hate, but out of deep self-preservation? For Sigma males, family ties are not enough to guarantee closeness. They may love their families, but love without respect or peace feels incomplete to them. Their distance is not a cold rejection. It is often a carefully chosen path that allows them to protect their mind, their spirit, and their growth. Family can be a place of warmth, but it can also be a breeding ground for pressure, manipulation, and unspoken expectations. Sigma males notice these things more than most, and instead of pretending everything is fine, they make the hard choice to step back. They do not believe in staying close out of obligation. To them, relationships should be built on mutual understanding and honesty, not on guilt or tradition alone. This decision often leaves them misunderstood. Relatives may see it as rebellion or even arrogance, but for the Sigma male, it is survival. They would rather be at peace in solitude than lose themselves in an environment that drains them. If you find yourself resonating with this truth, know that keeping distance does not mean you are broken. It means you value your growth and your sanity. It means you have chosen clarity over confusion. And in that choice, there is strength. Remember, protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. Let's get started, gents. Number 1, they dislike inherited roles. In many families, someone is labeled the caretaker, the problem solver, or the black sheep. Families often create unspoken roles, and once you are placed in one, it can feel almost impossible to escape. Some are called the caretaker, always expected to sacrifice their own needs for everyone else. Others are the problem solver, the one who must always step in and fix things, no matter how heavy the burden. Then there is the black sheep, unfairly blamed or judged no matter what they do. These roles may feel natural to those who assign them, but for the person living inside that label, it can feel like a prison. Sigma males are especially sensitive to this. They notice when their identity is being reduced to a single role that serves the family's narrative. And unlike others who may quietly accept it just to keep the peace, they refuse. To them, life is too valuable to be lived inside a box that someone else built. Think about it. Imagine a man who is constantly called upon to mediate every family conflict. At first, it may seem like a compliment, a sign of trust, but over time, it becomes a heavy chain. He is no longer seen as himself, but as the fixer. His own struggles are ignored because the family only sees the role. A Sigma male will not carry that burden forever. He knows that if he does not step back, he will lose himself completely. The refusal to accept inherited roles is not selfishness. It is a form of self-respect. It is the realization that you are more than the label your family chose for you. Sigma males understand that their worth does not come from being cast in a part they never auditioned for. Instead, they create their own path, even if it means distancing themselves. Their decision may cause confusion, but in truth, it is liberation. By refusing to live in those roles, they remind us all of something powerful. You do not have to be what others decided for you. You're allowed to choose who you are. Number 2, they value peace over tradition. Family gatherings often feel noisy, competitive, and draining. Tradition tells us that family gatherings should be joyful, full of laughter, food, and togetherness. But the reality is often different. For many, those gatherings are loud, draining, and filled with subtle competition. Who is doing better in life? Who has the better job? Who has the most well-behaved children? Who makes the most money? Beneath the smiles and polite conversations, there is often comparison, gossip, and a quiet pressure to measure up. Sigma males see this clearly and they do not pretend to enjoy it. While others may endure the noise just to keep appearances, they quietly choose something else. They choose peace. For them, it is not about rejecting family, but about protecting their energy. They would rather sit in silence, reading a book, walking in nature, or reflecting on life than be trapped in a room where every interaction feels like a performance. Think of a holiday dinner table where one relative spends the night boasting about achievements while another stirs conflict over old grudges. Many smile through it and call it tradition, but a Sigma male questions why he should spend his time in an atmosphere that feels more like a battlefield than a place of love. To him, tradition means nothing if it sacrifices peace of mind. This often makes him misunderstood. Relatives may call him distant, cold, or antisocial, but what they fail to see is that his absence is not rejection, it is self-preservation. He knows his growth cannot thrive in chaos. He knows his inner calm is worth more than forced small talk. By stepping back, Sigma males send a silent but powerful message. Peace is more valuable than tradition. A gathering without respect, love, and authenticity is not worth attending. And if solitude gives them more joy than tradition ever could, they will always choose solitude without apology. Number 3, they remember the silent wounds childhood neglect, unfair comparisons, or favoritism leave scars. Every family has moments people would rather forget. Maybe it was the time a child was compared to a sibling and told they were not good enough. Maybe it was the day their feelings were brushed aside because adults were too busy to listen. Or perhaps it was years of quiet neglect, when their needs were invisible, even though they were right there in plain sight. These moments often go unspoken, yet they leave marks that last far longer than anyone realizes. Sigma males carry those memories with them. They do not pretend the wounds never happened, while others may bury the pain and keep playing along for the sake of family unity. Sigma males confront the truth. They know that sweeping it under the rug does not heal anything. It only allows the wound to fester. For them, distance is not about punishing the family, but about protecting themselves from reopening old scars. Imagine a child who grew up constantly hearing, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" That child may grow into an adult who smiles at family dinners, but deep down, every comparison still stings. Or think of a son who watched his achievements overlooked because another sibling was always the favorite. As an adult, he may sit quietly at the table, but inside the silence feels heavy. Sigma males decide not to relive that cycle. They would rather step away than pretend those experiences never shaped them. Their choice to create distance is often misread as bitterness, but it is really about self-preservation. They are not holding grudges. They are acknowledging that unhealed wounds cannot be ignored forever. By choosing distance, they are choosing to heal, to breathe, and to finally feel whole. And in that act, there is strength. It takes courage to admit when something has hurt you deeply. It takes even more courage to walk away from it, not out of anger, but out of the desire to finally be free. Number 4, they outgrow the family mindset. When family values clash with growth, Sigma males quietly choose evolution. Every family has a way of thinking that gets passed down from generation to generation. It can be the way they view money, relationships, education, or even success. Some families believe stability means staying in the same town forever. Others believe respect is earned only by following tradition without question. These values are not always wrong, but they can feel limiting to someone whose mind is wired for growth. Sigma males often reach a point where they realize the family mindset no longer fits the person they are becoming. While everyone else may be content repeating the same routines, they feel the urge to break through those walls. To them, staying loyal to an old script at the cost of personal growth is the same as living half a life. Think about a man who grows up in a family that believes working one safe job until retirement is the ultimate achievement. He respects their belief, but deep down, he wants more. Maybe he dreams of starting his own business, traveling the world, or building something that does not follow the traditional plan. When he voices this, the family might call him unrealistic or selfish. But instead of shrinking back into their comfort zone, he chooses his own path, even if it means walking alone. This decision is not made lightly. It often comes with guilt, criticism, and distance. Yet Sigma males know that real growth requires breaking patterns, even family ones. They would rather face the loneliness of carving their own road than the slow suffocation of staying small just to fit in. What others see as rebellion is actually evolution. By outgrowing the family mindset, Sigma males remind us that love does not mean blind obedience. You can respect where you came from while still choosing a future that is bigger than the one your family imagined for you. Number 5, they embrace chosen families. They believe family is not only about blood, but about energy, alignment, and respect. For Sigma males, family is not defined only by blood. They understand that being related to someone does not automatically mean love, respect, or genuine connection. To them, family is about energy, alignment, and mutual care. And sometimes the people who truly show up for you, the ones who listen, support, and respect you, are not relatives at all. They are the chosen family. Think about it. Many people have experienced the sting of being ignored or misunderstood by their own relatives. You might share a last name, but not the same values. You might sit at the same dinner table, but feel like a stranger. Then, in another part of life, you meet someone who accepts you exactly as you are. Maybe it is a close friend, a mentor, or even a partner who becomes your safe place. That bond, built on trust and respect, often feels more like family than the relationships you were born into. Sigma males understand this better than anyone. They do not cling to blood ties out of obligation. If a relative refuses to treat them with respect, they will not force closeness. Instead, they choose to invest their time and energy into people who genuinely care. For them, love is proven through action, not through titles like cousin, uncle, or sibling. This approach can be difficult for traditional families to accept, because it challenges the old belief that family must always come first. But Sigma males live by a different truth. They believe that real family is about who stands beside you in honesty, not who shares your DNA. By embracing chosen families, they free themselves from toxic cycles and surround themselves with people who bring peace and growth. And in doing so, they show us something powerful. Family is not just inherited, it can be built. Sometimes the strongest bonds in life are not the ones you were born into, but the ones you create with those who truly see you. Number 6, they see control behind advice. Often what families call advice is an attempt to dictate. Advice is supposed to guide, to help, and to come from a place of care. But in many families, advice is not really advice. It is a disguised command. It sounds gentle, but underneath it is a clear message. Do what we want, live how we expect, and follow the path we approve. For most people, this pressure is easy to miss because it is wrapped in phrases like, "We just want the best for you." Sigma males, however, see straight through it. Imagine a young man who tells his family he wants to start a small business. Instead of support, he hears, "That is too risky. You should get a secure job." On the surface, it looks like concern, but to him, it feels like control. What the family calls advice is really their way of shaping his choices to match their fears. Or think of a man who mentions moving abroad for better opportunities. Suddenly, relatives flood him with reasons to stay, not because it is best for him, but because it makes them more comfortable. Sigma males refuse to live by decisions made for them. They know that advice rooted in fear or control is not genuine guidance, but a leash. To them, true advice should open doors, not close them. It should support growth, not trap someone inside old ways of thinking. That is why they create distance. Not because they reject wisdom, but because they reject disguised control. They would rather risk failure on their own terms than succeed by living a script written by someone else. This choice often makes them seem rebellious, but in truth it is about self-respect. Sigma males value freedom of thought above everything. They know that living under constant advice is just another way of living under constant surveillance. By stepping back, they protect their ability to live life by design, not by command. Number 7, they protect their inner world. Family ties can sometimes intrude into their personal peace. Every person has an inner world, a private space in the mind where thoughts, dreams, and emotions live. For Sigma males, this inner world is sacred. It is where they recharge, reflect, and create meaning out of life. But family ties, no matter how well-intentioned, can sometimes intrude on that peace. Constant calls, unsolicited opinions, or endless drama can flood the mind and leave little room for silence. When that happens, Sigma males begin to pull back. Imagine someone who values quiet evenings, using that time to think about their goals or simply enjoy the calm. Now picture a relative who calls every night, not to connect, but to complain, argue, or unload problems. At first, the Sigma male listens, but over time he notices his peace being stolen bit by bit. He is no longer resting in his own thoughts. He is carrying the weight of someone else's storm. For him, distance becomes the only way to breathe again. This does not mean he lacks love. In fact, it is often the opposite. By stepping back, he avoids resentment and protects the relationship from breaking completely. He knows that without protecting his mental sanctuary, he cannot show up fully for anyone, including family. Many misunderstand this choice. They think protecting your inner world is selfish, but the truth is, it is an act of survival. Just like you lock your doors at night to keep your home safe, Sigma males lock the doors of their mind to keep their peace intact. They understand something simple yet profound. Chaos from the outside world is unavoidable, but chaos inside the mind is a choice. By keeping family at a distance when necessary, they safeguard their clarity, their creativity, and their calm. And without that sanctuary, they know they would lose the very essence of who they are. Number 8, they believe love without respect is useless. Love is often spoken about as the highest bond within a family. Parents say it, siblings say it, relatives repeat it during holidays, but Sigma males have learned that love without respect is hollow. Words lose their meaning when actions contradict them. To them, love that ignores boundaries, dismisses choices, or undermines independence is not love at all. It is possession. Picture a man whose family constantly says, "We love you," yet mocks his career choices, belittles his dreams, or tries to steer his life in a direction that suits them. The words may sound sweet, but the behavior cuts deep. For a Sigma male, that contradiction is impossible to ignore. He does not measure love by how often it is declared. He measures it by how it is lived. Respect for him is proof of real love. Respect means listening even when you disagree. It means honoring his choices even if they are different from yours. It means trusting that he knows what path is right for his life. Without that respect, love feels more like control disguised as care, and that is something he cannot accept. This is why Sigma males often create distance, even from family. They would rather be alone in genuine peace than surrounded by relatives who say, "We love you," while disregarding their truth. It is not about pride, and it is not about rebellion. It is about protecting the integrity of their life. In everyday life, you see this play out often. Some people stay close to families that constantly tear them down because they believe love is enough. Sigma males step away because they know love without respect erodes the soul. For them, respect is the foundation. Love without it is just empty noise, and they would rather walk away from the noise than sacrifice their dignity for words that have no real weight. Number 9. They despise fake harmony. Many families plaster smiles over deep cracks. Families often present a picture of harmony that is more illusion than reality. At gatherings, everyone smiles, laughs, and acts as if everything is perfect, even though beneath the surface there are unspoken grudges, unresolved conflicts, and years of hidden pain. This performance may convince outsiders, but Sigma males are not fooled by it. They despise fake harmony because to them, it is nothing more than a carefully staged play. They value truth over appearances. For them, a relationship that looks peaceful but is built on silence and denial is far more dangerous than open conflict. Pretending everything is fine when deep wounds remain unspoken feels suffocating. A Sigma male would rather sit in solitude confronting the truth than join in a family performance where smiles are painted on and conversations are scripted. Imagine a holiday dinner where everyone praises each other while ignoring the obvious tension in the room. A sibling who has not forgiven another is smiling across the table while parents force cheerfulness to maintain the image of unity. For many, this is normal and even comforting. But for a Sigma male, it feels like living in a lie. He cannot ignore the cracks just to keep the picture pretty. This is why he distances himself. It is not that he rejects family bonds, he simply rejects falsehood. He believes healing begins with honesty, and without it there is no true connection. Some may call this harsh, but it is actually courage. It takes strength to refuse the comfort of illusion and to face life as it is. Sigma males choose the uncomfortable truth over comfortable lies. To them, authenticity is worth more than appearances, and that is why they walk away from staged harmony. Because they know real peace does not come from plastered smiles. It comes from honesty, even if that honesty means standing alone. Number 10. They're allergic to entitlement. When relatives demand time, money, or energy just because of blood relation, Sigma males pull back. One thing that quickly pushes Sigma males away from family relationships is entitlement. In many families, there are unspoken rules that say if you are doing well, you owe everyone else. You owe your time, your money, your energy, and your attention, not because you are freely offering it, but because you are expected to. For Sigma males, this kind of thinking feels like a trap. They do not reject generosity. In fact, they often give deeply when it comes from the heart. But they cannot stand being treated like a resource to be used rather than a person to be respected. Imagine a man who works hard to build a stable life. Instead of being appreciated, he becomes the relative everyone calls when they need a loan, when they want favors, or when they feel entitled to his success. Soon his achievements are no longer his own. They become a family asset, and he is pressured to carry burdens that were never his to begin with. Sigma males pull back from this dynamic because they believe relationships should be based on fairness, not demands. To them, love and support should flow naturally, not be forced through guilt. If a relative only shows up when they need something, the Sigma male takes note. He understands the difference between genuine connection and one-sided extraction. This often makes others label him as selfish, but the truth is quite the opposite. His refusal to feed entitlement is a way of protecting his boundaries, his peace, and his ability to give where it truly matters. He knows that forced giving creates resentment, while real giving creates trust. By walking away from entitlement, Sigma males send a clear message. Blood relation is not a license to take. Respect must come first. Without it, even family ties lose their strength. And so they distance themselves, not because they lack love, but because they value fairness over obligation. To them, genuine connection is worth far more than being drained under the weight of someone else's expectations. Number 11. They refuse to live under surveillance. There is a kind of surveillance that does not need cameras or locked doors. It comes in the form of constant commentary, never-ending questions, and the subtle weight of judgment hanging over every choice. In many families, this so-called concern disguises itself as care, but to Sigma males it feels like invisible chains wrapped around their freedom. They refuse to live like every decision they make must pass through a family tribunal. Think of a young man deciding to change careers. Instead of encouragement, he is met with interrogation. Why would you leave a stable job? What will people say? Do you think that's wise? On the surface, it looks like advice. In reality, it is control wearing the mask of worry. Over time, every move he makes is questioned. The person he dates, the city he moves to, even how he spends his free time. For many, this becomes normal, but Sigma males see the cost of such scrutiny and they will not pay it. They understand that true freedom is not just physical independence, but mental and emotional space. To constantly live under watchful eyes is to shrink yourself to fit someone else's approval. That is a prison without bars. Sigma males value their freedom too deeply to stay trapped in that cycle. If that means stepping back from family ties that suffocate rather than support, they do it without hesitation. This choice often gets misunderstood. Relatives may label them as distant or rebellious, but the truth is much simpler. They are not running away from responsibility or love. They are running toward the kind of life where they can breathe without explanation, where their choices do not need constant defending, and where judgment no longer dictates their happiness. For them, breaking free from this silent surveillance is not about rebellion, it is about survival. And in that freedom, they finally find the peace to grow into their full selves, unobserved, unfiltered, and unapologetically whole. Number 12, they heal by detachment. For them, distance is not abandonment. Detachment is often misunderstood. Many people see it as coldness or abandonment, but for Sigma males, detachment is a form of healing. They know that wounds cannot close if you keep pressing on them. An old pain cannot fade if you are constantly surrounded by the very people or environments that caused it. For them, distance is not about cutting ties out of anger. It is about creating the space to rebuild without constant reminders of the past. Imagine someone who grew up in a household where criticism was louder than encouragement. Even as an adult, every family visit may reopen those same wounds, whether through subtle comments or familiar patterns. Staying in that environment feels like tearing off a scab again and again. A Sigma male understands that the only way to truly heal is to step back. He chooses distance, not because he does not care, but because he finally cares enough about himself to stop bleeding where he was never meant to bleed. This kind of detachment is not easy. It often comes with guilt and accusations from relatives who do not understand. They may say, "You have changed," or "You are drifting away," without realizing that the distance is not rejection, it is recovery. The Sigma male knows that in silence and solitude he can process the pain, learn the lessons, and return to life stronger and freer. Healing through detachment is a choice of self-respect. It is the recognition that sometimes love is not enough if the environment keeps you stuck in the same cycles of hurt. By walking away, they allow themselves the chance to reset and to rediscover who they are, without the constant weight of history pressing down. And in that distance, they do not just heal, they grow. They reclaim their strength and eventually create a life where the past no longer controls the present. Number 13, they understand selective loyalty. They believe loyalty should be earned, not automatic. Most people are taught from an early age that loyalty to family should be automatic. You hear phrases like blood is thicker than water or family comes first no matter what. On the surface it sounds noble, but for Sigma males this idea does not sit right. To them, loyalty is not something you give blindly, it is something that is earned and protected through respect, trust, and understanding. They know that sharing DNA does not give anyone a free pass to disrespect boundaries or take advantage of them. A relative who constantly belittles, manipulates, or disregards their feelings should not be rewarded with endless loyalty simply because they are family. Sigma males refuse to confuse duty with blind submission. Take an example of a man who is always expected to drop everything for a demanding relative. Maybe it is a cousin who only calls when they need money, or an aunt who uses guilt to get her way. While others may give in because that's family, the Sigma male steps back. He sees that true loyalty flows both ways. If someone cannot respect his time, his choices, or his peace, then bloodline alone is not enough reason to stay close. This approach often shocks others because society is quick to label such detachment as cold, but in reality it is not coldness, it is clarity. Loyalty without respect is exploitation, and Sigma males would rather walk away than live in that cycle. By practicing selective loyalty, they teach an important lesson. Relationships, even with family, should be based on mutual care, not just tradition. Being family does not excuse harmful behavior. Respect earns loyalty, and without respect, there is nothing worth holding on to. In the end, their boundaries may distance them from some relatives, but it also keeps their circle genuine. And to Sigma males, that kind of loyalty, the kind that is real, earned, and mutual, is the only loyalty worth keeping. In final words, have you ever wondered if stepping back from family could actually be an act of love rather than rejection? For Sigma males, distance is not about bitterness or burning bridges. It is about protecting their peace, their identity, and their truth. They understand that closeness without respect quickly turns into suffocation, and loyalty without fairness becomes chains. By keeping space, they preserve what still matters instead of letting it rot in constant conflict. This choice does not make them heartless. In fact, it often requires courage to say no to pressures that most people quietly accept. It takes strength to walk away from the pull of guilt and to stand firmly in the belief that respect must walk hand in hand with love. That is what makes their path different. They would rather have fewer connections that are genuine than many that are shallow. If you feel the same way, do not see your distance as weakness. Sometimes creating space is the only way to breathe freely, to heal deeply, and to live honestly. You are not less because you choose peace over performance. You are not cold because you value respect over forced closeness. The truth is, survival is not always about staying and fighting. Sometimes survival is choosing to walk your path with clarity, even if it means fewer people walk beside you. And in that clarity, you may just discover that the love which remains is stronger, purer, and worth far more than anything forced. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.